All right, so we're at the number 2 album in the... Whoa, what's this? Oh, that's weird. A vortex seems to have appeared out of nowhere with a bunch of absentee ballots.
Oh, no!
Oh, no.
This was explained!
Oh, no. It turns out this entire election was a sham. I don't know if we can trust democracy anymore, you guys.
Joe Rogan warned us.
I mean, he really didn't. But...
No, he didn't.
Wow, Joe Rogan peered into the future with his DMT and told us that American elections are fucking bullshit.
Let's be honest.
Did he
If
come
Joe
by
Rogan
with
peered
secret
into the future with
information?
his DMT, he would find a really cool video of a leopard and send that back to us as a warning.
Thank you, Joe Rogan.
You
So it
saved
turns out
us.
that we have rankings from Nick Jones,
Hey!
Lee McCormick,
Hey.
Matt Porter,
Hey!
Craig Cohen, Billy Business,
Hey!
Chris Lathrop,
Hey!
Hey.
and Kimchi Chris.
Hey!
Hey.
That is.
Versus. I don't know. Yeah, I was just going. Well, I figured it was mean to only go hey after the people I know. Or,
I was
you know.
hoping that each one of us would go hey in like a round robin there.
Oh.
But it didn't quite work.
We can all just say hey now, and then Greg can splice them.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey now,
hey,
hey now. Don't
Hi.
dream it.
So it turns out this ranking has changed.
Wow.
What? I have to write down a whole other ranking. Let me open
So-
up.
No, we just have to go through the whole episode again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
From the bottom.
Yeah, start from the bottom.
Jingoku Retsuden.
so I'm going to go from the bottom to the top to get to the number 2 on the list. So Jigoku Retsuden, Gene Simmons, Carnival of Souls, Animalize, Monster, Hot in the Shade, Peter Criss, Sonic Boom, and music from the Elders mysteriously much lower on this ranking with more Kiss fans.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Psycho Circus, Asylum, Crazy Nights is much lower on this list with more Kiss fans.
Correct.
Oh, shit.
Lick It Up, Revenge, Paul Stanley, Unmasked is pretty much still in the same spot with all these Kiss fans.
Kiss people! My people.
Creatures of the Night, Dynasty, Hotter Than Hell, Love Gun. Weird, the rest of these are just makeup albums from the 70s. Ace Frehley,
It's
Dress to
like they
Kill,
know what Kiss did best.
Destroyer is still in the same spot, but the
Nice.
number 1 and 2 switched with the ranking. But with the absentee ballots counted, the
It's better be
number
the right way
2
around.
album is the debut album. The self-titled debut is next up on the list, coming in number 2.
It's entirely too high.
It looked like it was going to win, but then the absentee ballots came in, and then everything shifted. You can't call these things too soon.
Wait, so that means that amongst us, the debut album would have been number 1?
That is insanity.
That is insanity.
But not for the reason. I mean, I have.
No,
I
it
have
isn't
takes as
insanity.
well.
Stop being foolish. It's a phenomenal album. You Americans with your legal marijuana, you all doobied up over there, all high on reefer,
Depends on
making
the state.
silly statements.
Wait, Jamie's a conservative now? What is going on?
Yeah, so in the original ranking, the debut album won by a single point.
What?
So it's really close, but
And this
But-
time it lost by like
Gavin's choking on his
15.
talk.
Yeah, but now it lost by like what, 15 points or something?
Yeah. Over a dozen.
Yeah. But let's talk about the self-titled debut. Steve, you rate this as the best album in the catalog. Why
Yep.
are you correct?
oh wow.
Or
Well-
not correct, because this didn't win.
Why am I so close to correct? All right, so my top 3 albums, as you may recall, are each the songs that have each of the albums that have. Anyway, so the albums that I've ranked at the top 3 were the ones that had one of their 3 best iconic, really good songs. And so, I Was Made for Loving You is, an amazing disco rock song. It's just great. Crazy Crazy Nights is just an amazing, party, hair metal, rock kind of song. But Black Diamond, Kiss invented doom metal, which I love doom metal. So basically just the very existence of that song and only that one recording of this song and no other version of it that they ever did ever cinches this as the best Kiss album.
Wait till you hear the Jigoku Retsuden version. You're gonna
Yes.
die. You'll love
didn't-
it so much.
Didn't
You already
care
did.
for
We
that
did
one.
that episode.
I'm joking. I know everyone hates it. Eh. No, I'm just cracking up over here, and I love everything you just said, Steve. Especially, I'm not gonna fight you when you just put "Crazy Crazy Nights" as a top 3 Kiss song. I'm not gonna fight you, but I'm just chuckling a little bit because I remember quite a few podcasts ago when we were talking, and I was like, yeah, when it kind of comes to music in general, I just kind of dig songs about like girls and sex and like having fun. And you were like, yeah, Mike, and that's just kind of why we're different. I kind of just like songs like about more varied topics. And yet a top 3 Kiss song for you is I Was Made for Loving You, which is just kind of like, hey, girl, I love you. And you're like, that's a masterpiece. And I'm all about it, don't get me wrong. But it's just funny that like Mr. Complex, like avant-garde lyric guy just really wants a nice, good disco love song.
Right?
I mean, who doesn't want a nice disco love song?
Who doesn't?
But I mean, we should probably talk about this album instead because we all know how great Dynasty is.
I have some
Mike,
thoughts on
you rate
David
this-
Bowie, though.
Mike, you ranked this the lowest of the panel. You gave the 6. Actually, no, Gavin ranked it the lowest. So,
Ooh,
Gavin, why don't
okay.
you tell us why this album does not slap?
Because this first album, it's a great demo tape. But I can't think of a single tune on this sonically that isn't better on Alive. And then they fixed the mistake of not including "Let Me Know" by putting that weird Frankenstein live version onto "You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best."
But what was that about Sonic?
Oh, sonically, the
Can you sing again, but
tempos.
slower, please.
Wait, has Julia been here this whole time?
No.
She's just been listening for that word.
Yeah.
Sonically, I do like the doom metal ending of Black Diamond so much so that my band stole it, which is funny because the Vince, the guy who mixes our albums, had no concept, like he hadn't heard that album at all when he did that, and then when I heard it, I went, "Oh yeah, it's like the
The Kiss thing.
Yeah,
And then
he
was he
went, "What?"
insulted that something he did was comparable to Kiss,
I
as is often the case in the prog and avant-garde community?
I believe the quote was, "Do they do it for this long?" And I think the Kiss ending is longer than ours. But yet we're the ones who forgot to hit record, Greg. How are we the ones who forgot to hit record, Greg?
That was Julia's comment.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey,
But no,
You're the one who
Stop.
forgot what I said, Gavin.
yeah. Well, we just talk so often, you know.
We do.
But I mean, I had this at number 11, right? So like, it just missed my top 10. I'm not gonna say that there's a bad song on this album. Of course, it's an album of nothing but classics.
And
But-
Let Me Know.
Come on, Let Me Know's great. Let Me Know is a great
Oh yeah,
little.
Let Me Know's awesome.
Yeah. But I just think that Kerner and Wise on this album did Kiss no favors, and they only helped the band on Hotter Than Hell through their ineptitude of making an album. Kerner and Wise were just not a good fit for Kiss. To me,
I agree. I agree they weren't a good hit. But also, I do like their ineptitude of just like, we want to sound heavy like Sabbath, just they didn't understand what that meant, so they just tried to make it sound bad.
Which is good.
well, the
It's
story
good
that I
that
always
they did
heard, or the story that I believe I read in Paul's book about Hotter Than Hell was that they made it, listen to it, it's not distorted enough, so then Kerner and Wise just distorted the master track. And that's the album that we have today. Now, if they would have done that on this album, who knows? It might be a little higher, but let's just put it this way. This album came in where I had Hotter Than Hell in the number 2 spot. And Hotter Than Hell blows this album out of the water.
Okay.
I'm okay with someone liking it more, even if I disagree, but blows it out of the water, I don't know about that.
Oh, I also think just on a performance level, if you look at the like Sonic's aside. Oh, I didn't even intend that time. Sonic's aside, if you just look at
Say it
the
louder, Daddy.
Sonic's Alive Sonic's
I'm so
aside,
horny for that hedgehog.
If you just look at the performances on the two albums, I think Kiss was they sounded better. They sounded a little more gelled. I mean, I think the performances are better on the other two of the first trilogy. I think the sounds are better on the other two of the first trilogy. This is just not my fave. And I'm disappointed in all of you.
All right, so to counteract that, Jamie, you ranked it the next highest by putting it number 2, giving it 24 points. So it ended up where you wanted it. What are your thoughts on the self-titled debut, and what do you think of Gavin's take of Hotter Than Hell blowing this album out of the water?
Well, like, I take from the question that you were hoping that I'd come back with some kind of retort, like, Gavin, you're clearly an idiot, or make some kind of
Make it more British.
references
You say idiot here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a kind of British stereotype there. You're so daft. You're such a
Yeah, there you go.
Such a Yankee.
Gordon Bennett.
such a something, or to make more Doobie references like I did in the last comment. But I think he was really fair with what he said, and I understand everything that he's saying as well. I thought it was a very reasoned opinion. I don't think that Hotter Than Hell blows this album out of the water, which is why I ranked it where I did. But I understand why somebody of Gavin's ilk would vote that way, because Hotter Than Hell is a much heavier album. The songs that are on Hotter Than Hell are miles riffier, heavier. They sound like the band that Kiss wanted to become, and they sound quite light on the first album due to the production. I just love the songs on the album, which is why I put it where I did. I mean, it's kind of like it's like what I said for Destroyer. When you look at the songs that are on the debut, Strutter, what a way to open up a career. Just phenomenal. Yeah, the songs are great. Whenever I think of the debut album, I always think of the original pressed debut album without Kissin' Time on. But do you know what? Even Kissin' Time's quite a bit of fun. So yeah, I could have done without Love Theme from Kiss, but yeah, it's just a great album. It's a great album. All the songs are amazing. Yeah, they probably all sound better on Alive. Maybe not Strutter. I think I prefer the version on the debut to the version on Alive. But we're not ranking Alive, and the songs are on Kiss, so it is where it is.
That's fair, and I just want to say I actually agree with your statement about Strutter being better on this album than on Live. But next up, it's Mike's turn to talk.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not a whole lot that hasn't been covered. I can think of a couple things. Again, it's kind of like I said with Steve and Destroyer here. He ranks this one as his favorite Kiss album, and yet I had it quite a bit lower, and yet I probably still love it quite a lot more. It is a great album. I just think that they continued to get better with a lot of their other albums, but you can't deny those classic songs. I mean, they have remained live staples throughout their entire career. Deuce is an all-time favorite rock song of mine. It was the first Kiss song I ever heard. In fact, usually I say, my favorite Kiss song is between Crazy Crazy Nights and Deuce, which are very different songs, but that's just how much I love Deuce. I don't get why so many Kiss... I mean, I kind of get it, but it's annoying. I don't get why so many Kiss fans shit on Kissin' Time. It's immature to me. They're like, is it because I know it's a cover? Like, they make it sound like it's just this dainty little terrible song, and I guess I just don't hear it that way at all. In fact, I think when it begins, I think it has quite a bold riff, and then yeah, it does become more anthemic, but I think that is also awesome. It's Kiss's first anthem. It's Kiss's first fun big sing-along song. And sure, it is a cover, but they drastically changed it from the original. They added so much to it, and I don't even think it's the weakest song on the album, so I think quite highly of it. It's also cool because Ace was not a singer at the time, so it contains lead vocals from every member of the band who was doing vocals at the time, so that's kind of fun. I mean, there's not a lot of rock bands out there, I mean, really kind of ever, where, especially big ones, where you got 3 different lead singers on the same song, and it wasn't like a charity single or something. So it's just a cool, kind of a unique thing to me. Yeah, I mean, I get, Jamie mentioned Love Theme from Kiss. It doesn't really do a whole lot, but in a sort of different but sort of similar way to you, Greg, where you said you like an album like Destroyer because it's a band continuing to grow and progress. I kind of like random things like a Love Theme from Kiss because I enjoyed that era when bands would just kind of do something a little more outside of the box like that. Even though I'm a big 80s rock guy, you weren't really getting those anymore. Like Rat and, Kix and whoever else weren't really doing random Love Theme from Kiss type songs on their albums anymore. Like, I love music like that, but things were getting a little more homogenized or whatever. So that's something cool about the decade of the 70s is bands were still a little more experimental. So again, while that song doesn't, rise anywhere near even like the top half of Kiss songs, it's fun and just kind of random and cool for what it is. It's too bad it wasn't Acrobat and You're Much Too Young. That should have been included, but it is what it is.
Fair enough. Let's see. So next highest is Victor. What are your thoughts on the debut album?
I was honestly surprised at how good it was. Like when I loaded it up, I was like, I'm guessing this band isn't good until Destroyer. And then this album just proved me so wrong that it has been like, no matter how many times I went through the catalog, it's always been pretty high. And I think maybe if I was doing the ranking again, I would have moved it down a little bit, but it would still be pretty high up there just because it is it's just a solid little rock album in the most endearing way I can put that. And it does have the weird digressions into things like Love Theme from Kiss, where it's like, as someone who has also made a debut album where I didn't feel like just doing the same genre over and over again, I kind of relate to the idea of doing like, what if we just did this kind of goofy little guy in this album? I like that a lot. It also has Cold Gin, which I've made sure to make a staple of my work playlists since I work at a liquor store. I enjoy throwing that bad boy on with some regularity. And it also reminds me of my favorite cocktail that Gavin introduced me to, of course, which is the gin and water.
So when you're closing at work, do you ever like do that thing where you're walking out and you've got your jacket over your back, you're holding it with your hand.
Of course.
You got your hat.
You've seen the footage. You've seen the camera footage.
Yeah. And you're standing at the door, you're about to leave for the night, and you hit the light and you say to yourself, the corner store, her lights are out. Yeah. And then you close the door and go home.
That's right.
Nice.
That's what I do.
Good.
I also, I'd like to mention that this album does have a fair amount of young dumb fuck energy. And interestingly, they actually matured into having more and more young dumb fuck energy for quite a bit there, which is very interesting to note. And another thing, kind of talking about what to rebut something that Mike said, or maybe not rebut, but kind of just elaborate on it. It has 3 different singers on it. It doesn't have Ace because this band hasn't quite matured to the point where they were ready to
For Ace's young dumb fuck energy.
Form something on the caliber of Torpedo Girl.
See, but that's funny because you know who the sole writer of Cold Gin was?
It was Ace, right?
Ace, yeah.
Yeah, but Cold Gin's not as good as Torpedo Girl.
Of course not.
It's not as powerful as a composition.
I'll let you have your fun, Victor.
I mean, I actually hope Victor's being 100% serious.
I think he is.
I want to live in a world where there's people who prefer Torpedo Girl over Cold Gin. Just
look,
I'm okay with that.
Exists. It's called Victor's World.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
it's
that.
like, I mean, if we, which I know next week we're starting our ranking of every Kiss song. You're going to be very shocked, or maybe not, now that you've decided to take me seriously about how high Torpedo Girl is. On
No,
my
I mean,
ranking.
I guess I'll just be bold and go even one step further. I thoroughly like Cold Gin. I think that a lot of Kiss fans overrate it.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that Kiss as a band themselves overrated.
I think having listened to the Paul Stanley 45-minute compilation of him introducing songs, the number of times in that compilation that he introduces Cold Gin, it seems like, I like the song. It doesn't seem like one of the ones that would have lived on as a concert
Well,
staple.
exactly. That's kind of my
Well,
point.
think about this: rock fans' alcoholism. How did
Exactly.
this song
I mean,
live on?
But
Well,
do
that's
rock
kind of-
fans
and
like
that's-
gin?
That's
Even in his-
unintentionally kind of my point.
Like
Is
gin.
my one point, like Victor was saying, I'm kind of surprised how much longevity it has had in the Kiss set list, and then it's gone, but then it's always come back. I think there's a lot of other great songs, and not even just great, but better songs that should have had more playtime. And then going along with what you said, Greg, I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Cold Gin, isn't that like the fucking coolest song ever? And it's kind of just boils down to like simpleton, like yay drinking, and I've enjoyed beverages from time to time, but I just don't think like drinking is like the most fun. Like I honestly loud guitars, fast cars, and wild wild women interest me more than drinking. So
I understood that reference.
yeah, nice. I'm glad you did, because I was like, no one will get this reference.
Greg
I
did.
want to pretend like I didn't get it.
But yeah, I mean,
Wait,
so
you
I'm
got
not.
that
I'm not
reference?
even coming at it as like a teetotaler.
Hold
but I
on,
just,
hold on. Gavin, you understood that reference?
Isn't
no, he
that
said
a
he's going to
reference-
pretend he did.
Yeah, but in real life though, isn't that a reference to
Mike's
that's not in
autobiography.
Little Caesar, is it?
No, it's Blue Tears. Greg Fulkerson.
Oh, never mind then. I didn't get it after all. I really didn't get it.
Yeah, he's a very great underrated songwriter who I found out about because he wrote one song for Bat Out of Hell 2 that was rejected because no, you can't do a Bat Out of Hell with songs that aren't written by Steinman. That's just not how this works. But I appreciate the Blue Tears reference.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if that's still on the Wikipedia page. I think they have since removed it. If Steve is looking that up.
No. I'm trying to
but-
figure out why my DNS is broken.
But so I guess it's my turn to talk about the debut.
I had one more thing to say, if that's all right.
Oh, absolutely.
How dare you?
So
This was
polite.
actually one of the first things I said to Greg as I embarked on my Kiss journey for this specific podcast, which was Black Diamond is about skiing the most difficult slope of all, society.
The bit at the end where it just slows down is he just like wipes out, and then he just gradually rolls down the slope slower and slower.
Yeah, as the frame rate drops.
Until he finally stops. As the
Like how it's a
frame rate
different
drops,
Kiss
as
song.
the Yeti catches up to him.
That's amazing.
So I gave this 19 points. So I'm in the exact middle of our ranking of this group. I think it's a great album with a bunch of great songs, and it's one that I go back and revisit and listen to quite often. Where Hotter Than Hell and Dressed to Kill, I don't put on as often. Destroyer, not that much. But this one, it gets pretty decent rotation. I think the studio version of Strutter is great. Like, that is a great beginning to a catalog. Like, first song on a first album, they nailed it. Not every band nails the first song on the first album. If you listen to the first song on the first Thin Lizzy album, they didn't quite nail it the way that Kiss did round one. The friendly.
I respect you for at
Clown
least
Car
being able
Castle.
to admit that, man.
Oh no, dude, it's
Somebody
it's
shuffling
not
cards.
even close.
Oh, I was giving my dog a treat. My bad.
Aw.
It was the Caesar's bag. Sorry.
Do you give your
Little
dog
Caesar.
treats in the form of card tricks?
I was just like, it was the crinkling of the bag.
It did sound like card shuffling.
Was it
Who's a
because
good
I
boy?
said
Pick
little
a car.
Caesar a minute ago that
Yeah.
you thought about Caesar dog treats?
Yeah, well, yeah, he started barking. He heard you say it, and
He heard
he's,
me
I'm
say
like,
Caesar.
okay,
It's
no.
dog treats time again.
You know, I'll always sit.
Is performing card tricks for pets an American thing?
Oh yeah, do you not do
Yes.
it over there?
No,
I mean, you can find videos of people doing.
no. So casual
especially.
racism, obesity, and card tricks for dogs.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Add
it's
it to
just
USA.
generally magic for dogs
USA.
because it confuses them.
But yeah, speaking of Cold Gin, I think that's a great song. Straight Edge Greg thinks that Cold Gin is a great song. I like that Straight Edge Gene is singing Cold Gin. I think
I
that
like a lot,
song.
too.
I think that song has longevity because Ace wrote it, and Kiss fans think Ace is cool. It is a catchy, good song. It's also a Gene staple from early in the set. Plus, the Paul Stanley getting the crowd pumped, and how it's such an iconic part of Alive, and the Kiss fans have nostalgia toward it. I think all those things combined is why it stuck around. But it is legit, actually a good song. Aside from that,
Right. On top of that, the gin being the drink of choice for this person is just so funny to me, because it's like all of the stuff that Paul Stanley brings up in the lead up to performing Cold Gin is like, I would expect someone in this crowd to be drinking tequila or beer or I don't know. Gin is if I was ranking the various spirits, it might be last.
But not
But
even that.
I think that's probably why it works, because it's ooh, that's exotic. I didn't think about gin. Because
Exotic England.
If it was just called cold beer, that would be the most boring song.
Yeah, sure enough.
That'd be the country version of it.
Yeah.
The trick with cold gin is the kind of gin that your liquor store keeps in the refrigerator is not good
Pre-mixed.
gin. So this is just this is like a night train kind of vibe.
That's the point. Just it's just shit that's gonna get you drunk.
Right.
That's
And Fireball hadn't been invented yet.
As I think of it, there's a lot of songs about just drinking gin as the really crappy liquor to get yourself drunk. Like Cold Gin does it. One of the songs off Tallahassee by the Mountain Goats is that entire album is about an alcoholic couple, and one of the songs all we have left is a giant bottle of gin I found under the sink, but that'll do. There's Midnight Ride 1997 by Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, which is literally about using a big cheap bottle of gin to get somebody drunk so they can secretly check them into rehab.
Billy Joel sang about sexual encounters with gin.
Oh yeah.
gin
Billy
itself?
Joel fucked a bottle of gin.
Yeah, there was a man sitting next to him making love to his tonic.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And not even a gin and tonic, just
Yeah,
a
that
tonic
famous
and gin.
cocktail.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Making love to his water and gin. Gavin, I cannot stress to you how much I love that story, which is why I've brought it up 4 times on this podcast.
And I gotta say that the fact that you took so much pleasure in that story makes that whole shitty festival experience worth it.
Yeah. So Cold Gin, Water and Gin, great song. Deuce, Stone Cold classic. Kind of sounds like shit on the debut, but whatever. It's still a great, well-written song. Performed okay. Black Diamond, Stone Cold classic. Kissin' Time,
Somebody's house is on
phenomenal
fire.
song. Someone's house is on fire.
Not me.
Call the firehouse. Call the fire. They did that.
Oh, yeah, did you?
You got it.
And that stopped the alarm too. So
Yeah, because we
It
called it the
worked.
firehouse.
I appeased the reference.
But yeah,
No one had referenced Firehouse yet. Interesting.
I mean, there's a bunch of concert staples on this album. Almost every song has been played live at some point. Actually, I think they even played "Kissin' Time" at one point. So,
On a cruise maybe or something?
I think they played it one time at some random show in Japan. I think.
Okay.
But I like "Kissin' Time." I think there's just a bunch of cool songs in this album, a bunch of classics. I dig it.
Isn't
There's a
that
bunch of
cute?
big
Isn't it?
Kiss
But,
energy.
the tone of Kissing Time is quite off for the rest of the album. It's a cute song, and it starts really cool, but then,
And then it gets even better.
well, it gets better when it ends.
No, man, it's great. I freaking look. I mean, the very first line of the song is "We're kissing in Cleveland." I'm like, hey, that's where I'm from. I have a connection to this.
Did you
But-
do
Have
any
you ever
smooch-
kissed in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Was it about you?
It is literally about me. They had the foresight to write that song about some kid who would be born in the 90s.
It just seems so disingenuous for them to cover a song about kissing when Nothing to Lose is on the album.
I mean, you know,
It's like on the same album as Taught to Me as Naked City.
I mean, I think what we can establish from this podcast is clearly I'm obsessed with all of the Gene songs about fucking in the arse. Yeah.
Yeah.
you like what you like, man. I hear you.
As my good friend Lucy would say, there's no such thing as a wrong'un.
But back to Kissin' Time. Peter's vocal on that is really, really awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And, you know, Ace doesn't get to sing, but instead of singing, he gets a solo because that's how he was expressing his voice musically at the time, through his guitar. Yeah, no, Kissin' Time's great. Whole album is great. Yeah, it's great, but not as great as the number one album in our ranking.
Well,
Which-
I have.
Oh, do I need to go through the ranking again? Because I went through the ranking to get to the top two. Do I?
Well, if you want to put it in the actual podcast, maybe. But I have one more hot take on this album,
Ooh.
What's your one more hot take on this
Spicy
album?
takes.
and this is one that I'm not particularly proud of, but I have it.
Oh,
So I'm gonna say it, and you guys are gonna get mad, and then I'm gonna defend myself.
yes.
My favorite version of Strutter
Oh
is
God!
Strutter 78.
Okay.
Boo.
I disagree, but I'm not going to get mad.
And the sole reason why it is that is because the first Kiss album I ever had was double platinum. So
I get
that was my,
That's fair enough. That's fair
Yeah.
enough.
So
That's fair
anytime if I'm like behind like a drum kit and I, as a joke, play Strutter, it's always got the 16ths on the hi-hat, you know, the kind of the disco beat. And then my second favorite version is the one on Alive.
I think that's a very reasonable take to have there, be it
Yeah,
that, you know,
fair.
that was your first exposure to it. Like, unlike the hot takes that Greg has, which just come out of nowhere.
Thank you, Jim.
It just comes from objective analysis of the music, being as unbiased and fair as possible.
That is not what we call analysis, Greg.
I
You analysing
nothing-
something
nothing to
doesn't make it
lose is
sound
about-
analysis.
nothing to lose is about analysis.
I do want to say one thing in defense of Gavin, actually. When I do Strutter Live, I do the vamps that are in the Strutter 78 version. So, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a good version. It's not bad.
Hey, I thought of one that might make people mad.
Do it.
I don't believe this, but I like the cover version for Guitar Hero 2 better.
Ooh, yeah,
Specific.
that's pretty dope.
How come I got shit on for not liking Do You Love Me, but we're just letting that slide?
Well, he said he didn't even believe
Because
it.
he said he
Yeah.
didn't need it.
Well, that's fair enough.
All right.
Although
so you
I'd
know
have to
what?
listen to it again.
Thanks for listening to the Lipstick Panel, hosted by Lipstick Generation. Lipstick Generation's music can be found on all major streaming platforms and at lipstickgeneration.com. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your ranking of the subject in the comments down below. Feel free to leave us an episode suggestion also. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, please leave a review and tell a friend about our show. Thanks and rock on.